This study is entitled Factors Affecting the Retrenchment of Employees in Selected Businesses in Rizal as a Result of COVID-19 Pandemic. The problem and its background. This chapter describes the background and purpose of the study, theoretical framework, and statement of the problem, setting of the study, hypothesis, scope and limitations, significance of the study, conceptual framework, and definition of terms. Background and purposes of the study. Businesses are exposed to a great challenge of coping with the new normal strategy that COVID-19 pandemic has brought to people. One of these strategies and effective solutions that these businesses perceived is the employee retrenchment. Therefore, researchers conducted a study about the factors that affects the retrenchment of employees in selected businesses in Rizal as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Objectives of the study. The objective of this study is to explore and examine the factors of retrenchment as well as the possible situations that triggers this factor. It aims to give clear understanding and learning on how this retrenchment became the most common solution for businesses to deal with COVID-19 pandemic. Significance of the study. This study will be beneficial for businesses to reevaluate the performance of their employees and make alternative solutions to cope up with the unexpected crisis instead of retrenchment. Theoretical framework. This theory focuses on the interrelationship of employment, interest, and money and how these three macroeconomics factor contributes to managing the resources in the business. Keynes denied that an economy would automatically adapt to provide full employment even in equilibrium and believed that the volatile and ungovernable psychology of markets would lead to periodic booms and crises. Statement of the problem. The purpose of this study is to conduct a survey for the common factors that affects the businesses to retrench their employees. 1. What is the profile of the respondent's business in terms of point 1? 1.1 Location. 2 Type of business. 1.3 How does the respondent's business performance despite of dealing with COVID-19 pandemic? 2. What are the response of the participants about the events that strengthen the factors of employee retrenchment with respect to 2.1 Lack of profit. 2.2 Re-strategizing. 2.3 Cost reduction. 2.4 Economic decline. 2.5 New leadership. 3. What are the other possible coping mechanisms with regards to the effects of COVID-19 pandemic to the business enterprise? Setting of the study. The researchers conducted a study in selected businesses in Rizal to know the factors that affects the retrenchment of employees due to COVID-19 pandemic. Hypothesis. The researchers conducted a study in selected businesses in Rizal to know the factors that affects the retrenchment of employees due to COVID-19 pandemic. Conceptual framework. Input. Location, type of business, questionnaires, retrenchment factors, frequency scale, scope. Process. Questionnaires, validity, data collection, data analysis, revisions. Output. The factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in selected businesses in Rizal as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. Scope and limitations. This study was conducted to identify the factors that affects the retrenchment of the employees as a response of the businesses in dealing with COVID-19 pandemic. It focuses on the businesses. The limitations of this study is the range of the respondents managed around Rizal.
Chapter 2 Review of related literature. Foreign literature. While many countries have taken extraordinary measures to curb the pandemic, some have been heavily criticized for mishandling many measures. Niewiadomski, 2020. The COVID-19 has had a negative influence on service providers, consumers, and culture, but the full extent of its consequences is still unclear. Foreign study. COVID-19 pandemic has been a great challenge to businesses, especially to those starting business. The effects of this pandemic is irrefutable in both micro and macro businesses. Based on a survey conducted by Local Globe and Deal Room in 2020, 40% of the startup companies are expecting to see their revenue drop by 25%, as mentioned by Arundel and Mason 2020. There are over 18,000 startups in Europe competing for a bigger share of the markets, as suggested by Dunthu and Gustafsson 2020. According to a study conducted by Robert Fairley in 2020 about the impact of COVID-19 on small business owners, the first 3 months after social distancing protocols. Local literature. According to the ILO Monitor 3rd edition, COVID-19 and the World of Work, The drop in working hours in the current second quarter of 2020 is expected to be significantly worse than previously estimated. The outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic has rapidly transformed into an unprecedented global economic and labor market crisis, with severe impact on the world of work in the Philippines. Local study. The extended community quarantine imposed by the government to contain the spread of COVID-19 has adversely affected micro, small and medium enterprises (MSMEs) in the Philippines. The high-risk sectors consist of industries that are least likely to remain operative with containment measures in place or are experiencing or are likely to experience sharp slumps in demand due to the pandemic. Employers are advised and encouraged to follow flexible work arrangements as remedial steps due to COVID-19. According to Labor Advisory 09 and 11 issued by the Philippine Department of Labor Jobs Dole.
Chapter 3, Research Methodology. This chapter discusses the research method used in this study. It covers the discussion in research design, locale of the study, subject of the study, research instrument, sampling technique, data collection and statistical instrument. Research design. In this study, the researchers used the descriptive research method, which includes observing, describing and documenting all the people who take part in the study. After describing, the researchers documented all information that was gathered from the answers of the respondents in the questionnaires. Locale of study. The study was conducted in different area in Rizal. Rizal is a province in the Philippines located in the Calabarzon region in Luzon. Its capital is the city of Antipolo. It is about 16 kilometers east of Manila. Population and sample of the study. Each location has 10 respondents. Research instrument is a quantitative research. The online survey questionnaire was divided into two parts. The part 1 is the respondent's profile, includes name of the business and business location, while the part 2 includes the difficulties by the employees in business and their ways in coping up with it. Sampling technique. This method is the most straightforward of all the probability sampling methods, since it only involves a single random selection and requires little advanced knowledge about the population. It helps ensure high internal validity. Randomization is the best method to reduce the impact of potential confounding variables. Data collection. The researchers seek a permission to collect data or information. A permission request letter is one where an individual, organization, or group is requesting permission to perform an act or obtain information. Statistical instrument. The researchers used frequency distribution to determine the profile of the respondents in terms of age, gender and strand.
Chapter 4, Data Presentation, Analysis and Interpretation.
Table 1, Location differences of the respondents. Table 2, Differences of respondents in terms of types of business. Table 3, Differences of respondents in terms of business performance. Table 4, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in TNE Rizal. Table 5, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in BRS Rizal.
Table 6, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Morong Rizal. Table 7, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Agno Rizal. Table 8, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Binogonan Rizal. Table 9, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Taytay Rizal. Table 10, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Pilila Rizal. Table 11, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Jalahala Rizal. Table 12, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Teresa Rizal. Table 13, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Antipolo Rizal. Table 14, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Cainta Rizal. Table 15, Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in Rodriguez Rizal. Table 16. Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in San Mateo Rizal. Table 17. Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in manufacturing business. Table 18. Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in merchandising business. Table 19. Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in service business. Table 20. Factors affecting the retrenchment of employees with affected performance in business due to COVID-19 pandemic. Table 21. Factors affecting retrenchment of employees with moderately affected performance in business due to COVID-19 pandemic. Table 22. Factors affecting retrenchment of employees with extremely affected performance in business due to COVID-19 pandemic.
Figure 1. Overall factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in terms of lack of profit shows 54% of the respondents are strongly agree and only 2% were disagree. Figure 2. Overall factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in terms of raise strategizing shows that 64% of the respondents were neutral and only 9% of overall respondents were strongly disagree. Figure 3. Overall factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in terms of cost reduction illustrates that 48% of the respondents were strongly disagree, 29% agree and 21% were neutral. Figure 4. Overall factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in terms of economic decline illustrates almost even response with 35% were agree, 32% were neutral and 30% were strongly agree. Figure 5. Overall factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in terms of new leadership displays 40% were neutral and almost even with 38% of the respondents were strongly agree.
Table 22. Overall mean of factors affecting the retrenchment of employees in selected business in RESL.
Chapter 5. Summary, Conclusions and Recommendations. Summary of the findings. In overall ratings of factors affecting the retrenchment of employees, lack of profit and cost reduction has the highest factor with the mean of 4.3. Conclusion of the study. After conducting the study, the researchers were able to know that among 130 respondents, 54% of them strongly agreed that lack of profit is one of the factors that affects the retrenchment of employees. 64% of them answered neutral in raise strategizing. 48% agreed that cost reduction is the factor that affects the retrenchment of employees. 35% agreed in economic decline, and 46% answered neutral in new leadership. Recommendations of the study. Based on the data gathered from the study, the researchers think that recommendations are needed for the improvement of the product.
Thank you for listening.